This webinar is a part of the Cycle of Freedom series, and the title is Total War Declared on Virtue. Well, the Golden Triangle keeps a society on the liberty side of the cycle. And virtue we've defined as moral goodness, the practice of moral duties, conformity of life and conversation to the moral law, moral excellence, temperance, chastity, charity, abstaining from vice, voluntary obedience to the truth, excellence in things that constitute value and merit, moral power, and bravery. And we highlighted in a previous video these moral duties, and here's the list here. But what happens when vice overwhelms these virtues? The United States has reached the point where virtue is hardly esteemed at all, or at least not welcomed in the public square. Now, instead of virtue being uplifted in the public square, vice is flaunted and pushed. What does this do to society? Well, it puts us on the bondage side of the cycle. Referring back to the 1828 dictionary and getting a definition of vice that's robust, it's every act of intemperance, all falsehood, duplicity, deception, lewdness and the like, depravity or corruption of manners. And as it pertains to the list of vices rather than moral duties, this is what the list of vices would include: cowardice, irresponsibility, seeker of pleasure, lazy, lying, deceitful, unreliable, duplicitous, self-serving, selfish, undependable, sexually immoral, disloyal, impatient, argumentative, devaluing of life, disrespecting of others, lacking faith, unforgiving, being a promise breaker, sacrificing others for gain, conniving, and seeks power. This is a terrible list when citizens live this out as both individuals and as a group. And here are some reflections from ancient leaders when this begins to happen. No external or foreign threat can infiltrate our republic. If you wish Rome to live forever and our empire to be without end, if you wish that our glory never fade, we must be on our guard against our own passions, against men of violence, against the enemy within. Os Guinness said this: freedom requires a firm refusal of what is false, what is bad, what is excessive, what is ugly, and above all, what a person is not and should never try to become. When everything is tolerable, nothing will be true, and no one will be free. Continuing with some further reflection, there are things that each of us as free people simply cannot and should not be, and should not do, although we could. The promise that in a free society we can be anything we want to be is a specious modern delusion. The idea that freedom means we can do what we like so long as we do not hurt anyone else is a dangerous modern lie. Os Guinness summarizes some thoughts from John Winthrop of the Pilgrim era, and he said this: "Nothing's more certain," John Winthrop warned, "than that a corruption of manners would make a people ripe for destruction, and laws alone would not hold things together for long. A good form of government may hold the rotten materials together for some time, but beyond a certain pitch, even the best constitution will be ineffectual, and slavery will ensue." George Washington again says this: "Of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who should labor to subvert these great pillars of human happiness, these firmest props of the duties of men and citizens." James Madison, the chief architect of the U.S. Constitution, said, "Is there no virtue among us? If there be not, we are in a wretched situation. No theoretical checks, no form of government can render us secure. To suppose that any form of government can secure liberty or happiness without virtue in the people is a chimerical idea." Again, that multi-headed, monstrous thing we've described in another video. Os Guinness again summarizes: "The sad fact is that without truth and virtue, those who proclaim freedom and set out to do what they like often end up not liking what they have done." Freedom must be self-restraining. Freedom is not choice so much as right choice, good choice, and wise choice. When everything is permissible, no one is truly free. So it's ironic, but not accidental, that millions in the land of the free are in recovery groups from one addiction or another. And our culture is in decay. That certainly gives us something to think about. This is U.S. Civics Training. Thanks for listening.